Everyone wishes to live their best life. We experiment with various ways to achieve that, whether it is through study, competing, finding a partner, working hard, or admiring someone who inspires you. It is the quality of our inner being that does it all, or grapples with fulfilling life's calling. For the past 20 years, the Brahma Kumaris in Washington, D.C. has been a space for any and everyone to enter into and experience one's soul calling. From 1997, the center opened in an old rickety house on Georgia Avenue in Silver Spring, Maryland, where cars and trucks that passed by would shake the space. But when you were inside, it was a peaceful and powerful sanctuary for all who visited. Since then, over 2,500 events, 17 city and nationwide initiatives, 21 awards, 2 meditation museums have served youths, senior citizens, entrepreneurs, scientists, authors, women, interfaith, the disabled, environment, small businesses, arts seekers, and even leaders. Millions of lives have been served, either through social media, the popular America Meditating radio show, or through exhibitions, lectures, partnerships, and programs held in the meditation museums and centers. We look at 20 years of service as a continued journey of love, courage, wisdom, and determination with friends from diverse backgrounds and thought who believe a better world is possible when we make ourselves better human beings. Meditation is an important tool that helps us to gain greater clarity, insights, and inner power so we can make healthy choices and amplify our capacity to live a full life. In times of great anxiety, insecurity, and fear, meditation is an essential practice for everyone to gain stability and inner strength. Just look at what a few dedicated, purposeful, and kind group of committed people have been able to achieve in 20 years. Thanks to everyone who've supported us along the way. And thanks in advance to those who believe in our work and power of intent. Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museums, where peace is inside.
I accept myself now. My past, my aspirations, my hopes my dreams, my achievements, and my mistakes all merge within the present moment. I relax into who I am. I accept myself as I am. I tune into the silent stillness of my being and connect with the original qualities of my spirit. Gentleness, strength, happiness, with gentleness, I live a life of love. Not control, love. I have the strength to pursue my own journey, to find truth, and to live truth. When I am at one with the love inside me, I experience happiness. In the pure simplicity of my spirit, I find only love. Not the desire to control or direct, but real love. A love that surrounds me in gentleness and acceptance, contentment and humility. I am love. I allow the experience of love, not seeking it externally, but recognizing it as part of my inner nature. I feel the power of this love uplifting me and awakening my innate divinity. I become love. I allow love to radiate through my spirit and reveal itself in my thoughts, my words, my actions. I observe without judgment, and I reveal love. I speak without arrogance, and I teach love. I act without complexity, and I become love. As I become love, I become divine. I am divine, and my life expresses the pure gentleness of my spirit. I feel a deep sense of belonging to the world, and the world belonging to me. Through the power of my own divinity, I cooperate with love's task of revealing truth. And healing the world.
Om Shanti. Welcome to the Meditation Museum. For those of you who have come for the very first time, what took you so long? We've been around for a while and it's been a really incredible journey. I think Anne can testify to that. Yes, yes. So a while back we had a meeting with our core team. And we were thinking about, what best can we offer and do and be as the meditation museum in the nation's capital. And if you've been following us over the years, last year alone we held over 300 events. And a lot of people get surprised, and even we thought, oh, that's not too bad for 2 museums in a year. But it would make us kind of think, are we really, assisting the community to be able to really go deeper? And sometimes some of the challenges that we encounter is that there could be an expert meditator on one side of the room, and there could be someone who has never meditated on the other side of the room, and there could be someone who used to meditate and wants to get back on board. So a lot of times when we host our programs and activities, we wish to respect everyone that's in the room. And so at times, maybe the expert meditator will say, oh, it's not deep enough. And then the beginning meditator will go, I can't get that. And then the one who's coming back on board will be like, oh, that's what they always said, So it was quite an interesting conversation that we were having amongst ourselves. And so what we decided to do is, if you've read a lot of the media report of our work here, it's extensive, and I'm really grateful. I'm so grateful that Washingtonians have welcomed and respected our work in the community. But we thought about, when you come to a meditation museum, are you really meditating? In our teachings of Raj Yoga meditation, which is the kind of meditation that we teach, it's been initiated by the Brahma Kumaris for over 80 years. And the Raj Yoga meditation is more of a thought therapy. The meditation that you learn here is to master the way you think, because your thoughts are connected to what you feel, and your feelings are connected to very deep-rooted experiences that you, the living energy, are traveling with. So why we offer a lot of information is that information comes in the form of knowledge, and knowledge gives you power. And where there's truth, the soul will fly. So if I can offer the knowledge that can help me to find my truth, then I'll fly. So when we're asked to sit and meditate and be peaceful, it doesn't always feel that way, does it? Sometimes you might say, yes, breathe, I am peaceful, I want to be peaceful. I'm getting there, but I'm at the meditation museum. Shouldn't this be easier? And it gets a little tough at times, and that's because sometimes the soul doesn't remember what it really feels like to be peaceful at a soul level. And peace is definitely not death for us. Peace is where I am not believing in waste or negative thoughts anymore. I'm at peace with myself. And think about that for a little bit. So we're living our lives kind of paralleling this thought process. So there's one track of thoughts that are sort of superficial. It's on the surface. So it's the kind of thoughts that you think you can control and you have power over. But then there's a thought that exists behind that thought, and that's the thought you want to tap into in your meditations. Do you understand that? Let me even clarify more. Have you been at work and you've been talking to a colleague at work, and you actually don't want to stand there and talk to that colleague anymore? Have you ever had one of those experiences at work? And
the thought behind your thought of going, oh yes, John, oh that's wonderful. Have you remember those days? But there's a thought behind your conscious thought, like that superficial thought. That's yes, yes. It's the thought behind that thought where you're like, oh God, when are they going to be quiet? Oh, when is my phone going to ring? Oh, what can I say to get away from that? That thought is what we want to focus on our deep meditation this afternoon. Does that make sense now? So that's the thought behind the thought. So when we are meditating, we become very aware of the thought behind the thought. So in Raj Yoga meditation, we start to discern the distinction between, is this my superficial personality that's expressing itself, or is this the real I? Is this the real self? Okay? So again, go back to that colleague at work, or a relative, or a friend when you're on the phone and you just want to get off and you're just waiting for them to take a breath. And now focus on the real thought. How are you really feeling with that encounter with that person? That's where I want us to focus on for the next hour or so today. Okay? So I'm going to invite you to really be really present in the room. Okay? That means just lock the world out for the next hour. You're welcome to record the conversation. So this is a great opportunity and a great time. You can take out your phone, make sure it's on silence. You can press your record button. You can go on your social media and share from the Meditation Museum the link for your friends and your family to join in the meditation exercise that we will do today. And that can be your form of service for the day. That is a pure form of service. We call, when you do service of sharing good news with others, it's a physical form of service, but it also becomes your blessing because everyone always benefits from it. And when you're done, I'd like you to just take a minute of being appreciative of the person that you're sitting next to without even looking at them. It is something we don't do a lot because we're so focused on I, me, and mine that we forget that there is another energy in my space. It happens on the metro. It happens on the bus. It happens in a plane. It happens in a car. It happens in the supermarket. It happens in a department store. It happens at a theater. It happens in your social environments. I want you to think about that. Be aware that the person that you have chosen to sit next to, or the space that you now will own for the next hour, that you are consciously aware, that you appreciate the energy that's next to you. Just from your mind. And as you extend that practice, begin to focus on the fact that I appreciate the fact that I'm sitting here with the intention to walk out of here a better version than how I came in. And spread that energy. It's such a rare way to think. But it's a benefit and it's a result of your practice of meditation. Many, many years ago, I used to be so aware that the vibration that I leave behind, if somebody is going to walk behind me, and it could be just a few seconds behind me if they're going to walk, they will walk into that energy in which I'm vibrating. Have you ever sat in a chair of a person who was sitting and you went into their seat 5 seconds after they got up, and if you're very sensitive, you can feel whatever presence they had settled in that chair until you are able to bring your own vibrations in? So similarly, if you are walking around on earth, are you aware that the quality of your thoughts are vibrating in the atmosphere? And so how are other people receiving that? Do you understand? We need to create this culture that my world is no longer just about I, me, or mine, but my world is about what is it that I leave behind in my energy and in my presence, in my fragrance. And when we become more responsible in thinking that way, we are also in a stage of meditation. Because when you meditate, you are aware that you are going to use your thoughts in a way that heal not only your own heart, but the hearts of others, the atmosphere and the vibrations. Okay? Look at that beautiful picture on the wall there. Mom and daughter, right? There's love. Now, what if we could show that kind of love with everyone that we say hello to? It's another form of meditation. That means I hold no bias. I'm not angry. I'm not expecting you to feed me an emotion that I'm not feeding myself first. I'm being present. Now, all that I'm sharing with you will require our attention. And it doesn't matter if you're on your journey of spirituality and meditation for 30, 40, 50 years. You will still have to pay attention. Because your thoughts inside of you are carrying an impression, an influence that has been inside of you for a long time. Now, I usually consider that anyone who comes into the meditation museum is an old soul. That means we carry more of a sense of responsibility to humanity. We are holding up something that's more sacred, at least we intend to. We aim to do that. Something that leaves a legacy for that generation behind us to be able to say, I've got faith in the future, right? So in the space of meditation here, what I invite you to do is to find a way to look at the energy that's behind your eyes. So you're all looking at me through your two eyes. However, there's an energy behind your eyes, which is what we focus on in meditation, which is called Atma, Ru, Spirit, Soul, Energy, Light. Whatever language that touches your personality. All right? So just for a little bit, I'd like you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And I'd like you to focus your attention behind your eyes. And the only thing I require is that you observe your thoughts. No judgment, no criticism, no comparison. Just observe what you're thinking. Do you find that your thoughts are going back into your past? Just observe. Or are your thoughts speeding up into the future? Just observe. Or are your thoughts rooted in the presence of love? Just observe. Is there anything coming up in your feelings that hurts, gives you freedom, has you feeling celebratory or disappointed? What are your thoughts signaling to you? Just observe. Are you getting a sense that there might be a possibility you could be a little bit better? Or are you in a state of just pure acceptance and gratitude from your heart? Just observe. Now as you slowly open your eyes and become present in the room, are you having the same thoughts? Are they connected to the same feelings? They've changed, haven't they? But maybe the feeling lingers. So when we go inside of ourselves, is it the superficial thoughts that's serving me? Or did I go into the thought behind the thought? So when you focus in meditation, the first point of reference that you direct your thoughts to is the energy of light behind your eyes. You don't have to see them, but be aware that there's an energy inside of you, and it feels, and it dreams, and it thinks, and it gets disappointed, and it gets angry, and it gets excited, and it gets calm. That little energy behind your eyes, called you, the soul. Interesting, isn't it? And so it has two ways in which it expresses its personality: superficial or real. Superficial or real. And 99% of our world, with our humanity, we're here. But every one of us deeply want to be here, because that's who we are. Okay? So I'm going to take you through another very simple exercise with breathing. When you focus your attention behind your eyes, you're aware that the soul is sitting inside. It's giving life to your body. But how often have you actually acknowledged the fact that the soul is giving you life? So with your eyes gently opened, I'd like you to focus your attention behind your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in deeply. And exhale. Breathe in deeply again. And exhale. Well, I'd like you to observe who's breathing, the soul or the body. Breathe in deeply. And exhale. Who's taking the deep breaths, the soul or the body? Breathe in deeply. And exhale. Who is breathing? Soul or the matter? Breathe in deeply, and now breathe in with the awareness, I'm a peaceful living being. I know it with all my heart. Breathe out. What's not been so good for you lately? Being upset, being angry, being frustrated. Breathe in. I'm a peaceful living being. Breathe out. What's not working lately? I hate being negative. I don't want to be judgmental. I don't wish to give up so easily on myself, whatever it is. Who's breathing, the soul or the body? Any answers? Is it the body that's breathing, or is it the soul? Nice answer. Is it the soul that's breathing or the body? Don't worry, no answer will be wrong. You think it's the body, okay. Anyone else? Soul or body that's breathing? Who's given the direction to take a breath? Who's giving a direction to exhale? Soul or body?
We're conscious of it, it's us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're not thinking about it and our body just does it for us.
The body just does it for us. You are good. So, have you ever been to a funeral, or have you ever lost somebody close to you, or even a friend? When the soul is not in the body, is the body capable of breathing? So who's breathing? Soul or body? Who's breathing? Breathe in again. Honor your spirit. Exhale. You see how important that is? Who is giving life? The soul. Breathe in. Exhale. When you start to spend your attention, your thought attention, on who's in charge, you begin to focus your awareness on the soul, the spirit, the energy. And the soul begins to organically begin to acclimate its awareness that I, the soul, am in charge in how I wish to feel and how I wish to take care of this body. How many of you have not taken very good care of your body in the last 10, 20 years? Hands up. Why? Is it because the body took over or the soul took over? The body awareness that I forget that I'm a soul? Yes? Right. So when you rely on the soul being influenced, that it is more a physical entity rather than a spiritual entity, it can take us into an energy of decline. Because a body doesn't have mastery over spirit, but the spirit has mastery over the body. So when we're meditating, we focus first on the soul, and then who benefits as a result? The body. Was that simple? So who we are, we're souls first. And however I think, and however I feel, and with the motives and the intentions in which I make my decisions, it sends that vibration through the body. And then the vibration is extended in my connections with people. And that vibration also spreads in the environment. So think about it in that way. Let's go back to the exercise right before this. Breathe in and breathe out. Who's breathing? soul. So who feels, soul or body? Breathe in. Breathe out. Who feels, soul or body? Soul. And soul feels as a result of thoughts. What you think and the intention behind what you think determines not only the way you feel, but the outcome of your choice. What you think and the motive or the intention behind that thought determines how you feel and the outcome of that thought. What's the difference between a doctor holding a knife and cutting through a human being to remove an illness versus somebody holding a knife and cutting you because they're going to rob you? What's the difference? Knife is a knife. What's the difference? The intention, the consciousness, right? So similarly in our own lives, whatever is your motive or your intention behind the thoughts that you create determines the result. Do you understand? So if a lot of my thinking is not based on the pure thoughts, the thoughts behind the superficial thoughts, then the result that I keep creating in my soul's memory are superficial feelings. And so they don't deeply feel the real energy of who we are. And so as a result, we don't feel very contented with our lives. So the meditation is to take us to that thought level that is the real me. All right, so let's try another practice. Ready? I do this one a lot because I think it helps all of us as practitioners to really experience the benefit of meditation. So if you've done this with me before, I invite you to just participate once again and be patient, because it does go deeper. As you allow yourself to be present in the space, without you turning to your left or to your right or behind you, in front of you, is it possible for you to send your purest feelings for somebody in this room that you might have had eye contact with, or someone that you might be aware of that's in the room? And if you never took the time to see anyone who came in the room, just imagine the person who's behind you, the person to your left, the person to your right. If it's possible for you to send them your well wishes. Thank you. Ready? From your thoughts within your soul, select one or two people in this room and wish them well. Whatever your wish might be. I wish you love, safety. I wish you protection. Anyone in this room, bless them. And now as you bless this person, I want you to mean it. Like, I really wish for you to be okay in life. wish for your life to shine. And as you're offering this well wish, check how it makes you feel as a person. Mm-hmm. Okay, as you return, a very simple exercise. Do you think your superficial thought was at work, or was it the thought behind the superficial thought that just worked? Which thought? It was the thought behind the superficial thought, right? And did you notice that you couldn't expect anything back from someone? Because what you were offering was a very pure donation of your most greatest resource, which is the power of your thoughts. And you served through your thoughts your best wishes, and you came from a higher place within. And that is good karma. You just learned how to feel as a person when you're being true to yourself. So can you carry that intention and that motive when you walk and move around? When you cook a meal? When you drive in traffic on 495? When you're dealing with that colleague at work who seems annoying and they're only playing out their part? I was somewhere and I remembered sharing with Sister Gita that when I walk into this building, everything in my being feels uncomfortable. And as I was explaining how uncomfortable I feel being in this place, at the same time, my thought behind my thought was listening. And it was saying, it's a past. It's not real. So a lot of times when you meditate, you're able to really listen to what those deep, quiet thoughts are signaling to you, not to feed anymore. Because if I'm superficial, I'd be like, oh, this country, oh, this leadership, oh, this government, oh, this religion, oh, this race, or this culture, oh, this nationality, oh, this language, oh, these people. And I can project all my energy on blaming them and forget that it's not about them, it's about me. So what I'd like to do now is to invite you, because when you go into deep meditation, if you've not been taking care of your thought, you can start to get drowsy, you can start to get sleepy, because the energy that's deeper, we haven't been serving that energy, and where we're going is to strengthen that energy, not this one. All right? So if you happen to feel a little drowsy, all you have to do is massage your earlobes. Take some deep breaths. It's the most instant way of getting yourself energized. At 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at work, do this. And you feel like, what just happened? It just wakes you up. So apparently it sends charge to the brain, which I didn't know, but it was the research that was done. All right. Don't you feel that was a sweet massage? Wasn't that nice? So simple, right? We always make things so complicated. All right. So Santosh, can you play a little meditation for me? And does anyone have like a pen and paper on them, or their phones with a notepad on it? So if you can take that out just for a second for me. Now I'd like you to look at a meditation practice that is sort of kinetically inclined. It means that when you're physically moving around, it actually helps you. So once you get a pen and if you need a pen and paper, let us know. We'll get one for you. If you want, okay. If you want to use your phone and your notebook, that's also fine. Any more pen and paper required? 1 and 2, 2, 2, pen and paper. 3, 3, pen and paper. 3.5. Is this your first time meditating? You're doing awesome. It's very good. Very, very good. All right. So we are very frequently on our cell phones, and few of us even write pen and paper anymore. Antonia, who takes care of a lot of our logistical things here, to this day she still writes it in her legal pad. And I'm like, but Antonia, it wastes time. You write it on your legal pad and you go back in the computer and then you retype it. So I'd like you to begin the practice of deepening your meditation. Every day when you wake up, I'd like you to write a letter to your higher self. So on your phone, because that's the first thing we turn to when we wake up in the mornings. So now, from now on, you go to your notebook in your phone and you say, "Good morning, soul." And you, the soul, you're talking to the deeper thought in you. So, "Good morning, soul." And what I'd like you to do now with the next stage, I'd like you to write what your intention is for that day. So let's say this is the first time you're waking up. "Good morning, soul." And you're lying in bed or sitting up and you're thinking what I wish for my intention to be that whole day. And then write how that intention can be revealed in the way you make the coffee this morning, in the way you make breakfast, how you're going to get dressed, how you're going to shave. Can you believe that sometimes as a man we're frustrated to shave every morning? I know, right? And even when you're shaving, with what consciousness are you shaving with? What's the intention? It's like, oh, running late. That's not the intention. You have to shave anyway. I know, right? Okay, so for just another 10 minutes, can you write a letter to yourself? And in the letter, you are writing from the place of your higher energy, the thought behind the superficial thought. That means you're going to focus more on the person that you know you have the capacity to be, not do. You're not going to write about a car, a job promotion, a new partner. You're going to write how and what type of person you intend to be with your partner, in your job, in your home. You got it? As a mother. You got it? Any questions? Okay. Santosh, play some music, and just for 10 minutes. And take your time. There'll be no rush. I really want you to feel this. Okay? And just write it from that place. They're okay, sister. You know, for example, when I got up, my intention was to just listen to anyone who came in front of me with love. And there were two people who kept pulling me to not do that today. And I had to go back to my intention. But what did you promise yourself to do today? That you were going to listen with love. So that's what you want to do. It's the first part of the day. What was your intention? What will be your intention in the way you treat your partner, your environment, your body, even the way you use your money today? How do you intend to use money today? Take your time. Come from your deeper place, not from the surface. We have to serve that deeper place. It's crying out for our attention. If you travel deep enough, there's a possibility of a healing that can occur. It's kind of like your child being taken away from you and finally finding them, and you're overwhelmed with the emotions of joy, but also concerned about what just happened. Who am I becoming? Who do I intend to become? If you find that your writing is serving the superficial self, just pause and breathe and wait. You don't need to answer. You don't need to write. You just pause and wait till you get back there, if you can. If not, no pressure. When you're finished, just sit in silence and reflect on the energy behind your eyes, the soul that thinks and feels. Just imagine, if you fulfill that intention today, how will you feel deeply? Take deep breaths when you wish. And if you happen to have gotten into that more sentimental, sincere place, you are now in service to your higher self. Might even feel uncomfortable, but it is you. When you can reach a place within yourself that there's a gradual acceptance occurring, And it's not that you are regretting what you have done or who you've become, but you're accepting it, and now you're opened for growth, and you're opened for change. That's when you're serving your deeper self, and you're coming from a deeper place in your meditation. So that thought behind the thought is what you just served, because you wrote a letter that nobody will see, nobody needs to see it. You need to cleanse, we all need to cleanse the soul. Okay. When you're ready with your eyes opened, I'd like you to look very forward, very straight in your centerpiece. Simple techniques, simple exercises. This can happen when you're sitting at your office desk, take a break from the computer, when you go for a coffee break. And I'd like you to gently pull your eyes, or just extend your eyes all the way up, as far up as you can, as if you're looking completely towards the ceiling, almost as if you're going behind your eyes. And when you've reached as far back as you possibly can, just come back to your focus, come back to your center, and relax. And share through your eyes, peace and love is who I am. Now take your eyes and project them down. Not your head, but just the eyes. And as you take them all the way down, as far down as you possibly can, all the way down, bring them back to the center focus and extend peace and love to your eyes. Be a giver of peace and love. Allow the soul to feel it. I'm a loving and I'm a peaceful being. And take your eyes and move them gently all the way to your left, as far to the left as you possibly can. Go all the way to the left and come back to your focus and continue to generate the feelings of peace and love through your eyes. Now, go all the way to the right, gently direct your eyes all the way to the right, all the way as far to your right as you possibly can, and bring it back to center. And generate peace and love to your eyes. If your soul still doesn't remember what peace and love feels like, immerse a 3-month-old baby. When you look at a 3-month-old baby, how do you feel? Peaceful and loving. That's the feeling you want to practice to begin to serve through your eyes to everyone you meet. Because when you talk to people and you talk to them from that place, you're going to serve yourself first, and you just might be able to serve them second. Okay, simple experiment. Was simple, right? So just these little practices. I'd like to pause here and basically find out if you had any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share before we come to a close of our meditation practices and discussion.
You talked about before you go, when you wake up.
When you wake up in the morning, yes.
I do try to do that, have some positive thoughts.
Right.
Because sometimes I wake up and I don't even know what day it is, so I have to kind of focus my mind.
Yes.
So it's a good, I think
Good practice.
good practice.
So Sister was sharing the exercise we did about when we wake up to really set an intention for the day is a good practice, because sometimes life gets so full that you're not even aware of even what day it is anymore. So it gets like that. So true. Anyone else? Any thoughts?
Question, for the same practice when you wake up in the morning, is it okay to exercise first, or that is the very first thing you do?
I would do the thought exercise first, because when you're exercising, you can generate that thought into the body as well. I remembered a few years ago, I used to conduct a lot of lectures to corporations and companies. And I remembered there was a time that I was offering a program in which it asked the participants to take a Post-it, remember Post-its? And I asked them to share all of their goals for the future. And everyone had put down all the best thoughts about what they had intended for their tomorrows. And then I asked them, well, share with me what has happened so far. For example, have you fulfilled all your last year promises or whatever? And basically share on a Post-it what's been going on with you. And just about 95% of what was shared was all the challenges, the obstacles, the problems that everyone went through for the year. So the question is, what's going on? Every time we're projecting something good about our lives, why is it that it's turning out differently? Have you ever felt that your life has turned out differently than you had planned it? Has everyone been spot on so far? This is exactly what I planned to do. This is who I was planning to be with. And this is exactly how I was planning to be emotionally. Did everyone? You did.
I always felt kind of weird because I never made plans. I mean,
Okay.
I was just,
You were just accepting the
it's like
destiny
I
to
can't
feed
be
you.
disappointed. I'm kind of happy
Yeah.
with that. I did have one intention,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not trying to. I remember being in elementary school. Adults were always asking, "Well, what do you want to be?" And kids would say, "Oh, a fireman," or you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good point.
In my talent, I was an artist, and people seem to recognize that, and so I had ambitions for that. But it was when one elementary school teacher described a sage. I said, "Oh," because I knew that, and I heard about the Greek philosophers. Oh, that's what I wanted.
That's what you wanted to be.
Sit around and think about life. And when this elementary school teacher described sages, I thought, well, that's what I want to aspire to be. I want to aspire to be a sage. And it was never anything external. And when I was trying to,
Yes.
when you're young, you don't know what's going on, and I went to a professional
Sage.
psychologist,
Oh, okay.
a counselor, and his feedback to me was, everyone I've talked to, it's always external. And he gave me the feedback, oh, my thoughts are inward.
Right.
And he didn't, it was fine, it gave him pause for thought, but I thought, okay, gave me feedback on that.
Yeah.
And so it's just been a challenge, I think for everyone, no matter whether you're extrovert or introvert. I don't think people use those terms very often, but it was very much a dichotomy when I was growing up. This
Yeah.
was a bit of psychology, and it's how do you participate in the world outside, the world
Sure.
around you, and survive.
I get that.
But mine was always, whatever I was doing, no matter what, I was reflecting and contemplating.
You must be fun
and
to live with.
building a concept.
Yes, I get what you're saying.
Oh, sorry, I'm going on.
No. I get what you're saying. I hear you. I hear you. And even getting to being a sage, it's like, did I get there yet? You know? Yeah.
I have a question. This concept of the thought behind the thought.
Yes.
How do you kind of know if you're at the thought behind the thought?
Thought,
And not
oh.
just thought?
Great question. How do you know when you're at that level of the thought behind the thought? Is that you will definitely begin to experience a sincerity about what you're about to think or say or do. And you'll also begin to observe if the choice you're about to make or the word you're about to speak, if it's serving an attachment to your role, your gender, your religion. And that's a very deep aspect. Just imagine if I'm sitting here in front of you to share with you these thoughts as a yogi, as a BK, I'm not at my deeper self. But if I'm sitting here and sharing with you from that real deep essence and that part of me that I know is true, that is my real self. And I've seen that majority of me being here with you has been from that place. So it's a little bit slower, it's a little bit more paced. Another way that you can discern if you're coming from your higher place, and it takes time, you will grow into the discernment of coming from that real soul awareness place versus the humanness, is if you find that even your breathing is changing, if it's going too fast, if it's going too slow, if it seems to be too erratic, then it's a sign that my thoughts are off. Another thing is, if for whatever moment in time your interaction with another person has an element of the 3 C's, criticism, complaint, or comparison, it's your superficial self. You're not coming from that place. And so it's a practice that you have to keep observing, because when you're aware and you begin to see if you're at peace with what I'm about to say, then you know you're serving your higher self. If you don't care if it's peaceful or not, that's your superficial thought. But after a while, your conscience, it's as if you can feel it. Why did I even say that? Why did I even go there? So even if we don't do well and we were miserable at that moment, if I can become aware after the fact and recognize I could have done so much better, even that is a plus. That means your real thought behind your thought was still there. In awareness, it was there, just didn't have the power at the time. Right? Mm-hmm.
Earlier you mentioned something about, as we're interacting with other people,
Mm-hmm.
not expecting them to feed us
Yeah.
something that we weren't already feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Can you unpack that maybe a little bit?
Yes, of course. A lot of times our exchange with one another has a little bit of an expectation in it. Let's say that I go to a supervisor with the expectation that he will honor my idea or value my presence in the workplace. And whenever I go in front of him, it just seems, or her, it just seems like she or he dismisses me all the time. Okay? So if I feel dismissed by that person, that's still my sign that I'm going into this relationship with expectations and a motive which might be mixed with my superficial personality versus my real self, which is why I still don't feel completely empowered when I'm in front of that person. So you have to observe the way that you are feeling when you're engaging in these connections and relationships in order for you to discern if this is coming from your higher self or still that sense of the superficial part of you. If you're honest with you, there's something automatically wired in each and every one of us that knows what is universally right. Every one of us in this room has a universal rightedness recorded in the soul. That means I show up with a very deep sense of acceptance of who I am without a need for you to feed me. Rather, I've been paying attention to my deeper innermost self, and that is my feed. And so when I'm interacting with you, I have a feeling of less it's not a dependability, but I will start to not expect much from you to make me feel better. Now, it's not to say that I don't want things to be in a particular way. I do. I would love for you to be more happier with yourself. I would love for you to do things that seems like it's in order. I would love for you to take care of the way that, the family should be running. But if you don't, if you notice yourself, you get upset. And what happens is that there's a deeper law of karma playing out when we're in those settings. Because if we're not getting what the people that we've attracted in our lives are giving us, that means now I have to be the one that emerges these qualities and feelings and begin to share them. Because I'm not feeling it outside, that means I have to start to feel it from within. And you'll find that if you don't get what you feel you should get from your marriage, from your job, from your mother, from your father, from all these human existence of relationships that exist in our lives, we're going to feel extremely disturbed. We're going to criticize people. We're going to complain about them. And we're going to start to compare, well, the boss on the 10th floor is much nicer than the one on the 6th. Did you hear how nice he was? And that doesn't make us responsible for the fact that my thoughts is what's going to heal me, not what I'm not getting outside in this marriage or relationship. So even when it's not going the way I physically want it to go, I still have to do my thought therapy. Why do I feel so uncomfortable, so disconnected, so unaware? Why do I need you more to be this for me, because what you're doing is ruining our relationship? Is it? Or is it the way that I'm seeing this relationship that's ruining this relationship? So when you're going deeper into your meditation practice, especially in the Raj Yoga teachings, you are aware that who I am, by law of the universe, with or without a God consciousness, I am a loving energy, and I'm pure, and I'm at peace, and there is truth in the way I live, and that makes me happy. So when you are serving that element of the soul, then you automatically feel as if this energy of God is traveling with you wherever you go. And when this energy of God travels with you wherever you go, you naturally begin to have an exchange with human beings based on that principle. Thus creating better relationships, harmonizing relationships. You make choices that are good. And as a result of having faith in your pure thought pattern, you enter into a cycle of thinking. If you start to create a cycle of thoughts that are connected on your sincere and purest nature, you can begin to trust what you're thinking and what you're about to say, because that's the pattern that you've gotten accustomed to. Okay? I know I've given a long-winded answer to your simple question, but it was sort of putting it into a variety of perspective for anyone else in the room who might have had that question, right? So at the end of the day, I've got to cure the way I'm seeing this situation. I've been in a relationship where, I've been in a situation where there's a small handful of folks in my life, and whenever I'm around them, I just don't want to be around them. And my superficial personality would say, I don't even like them. But my deeper thought says, what is your issue? Do you understand now what I mean? So you're aware that there's something going on, but you're aware that something deeper within you has to change. So then, if a relationship or a situation doesn't seem to be panning out the way you are expecting it, change your thought in the way you see it, and I guarantee you the situation will change. Whether it is the way you handle that relationship, or that relationship moves away from you naturally and amicably, or the job changes, and you attract a job at the vibrational level that you're at now because you've done your work. If you think what you've always thought, you will get what you've always got. If you change what you're thinking, you will get something different. Always remember that.
Very good question. Do you have like a stubborn, silly thought? And it keeps coming, and you can't get rid of it. What have you found?
I hate those, man. I think the stubborn, silly thoughts are what I would call in Raj Yoga meditation. It's a deep-rooted experience that the soul has had in a previous lifetime. And however the soul received it, it has clinged to it so strongly that it's so hard to get out of it. Now, how I handle my stubborn thoughts is that I'll go back to that thought behind the thought and I'll be like, are you happy holding on to that idea? And I'm like, but they are really not getting it, right? So you check yourself over and over again and you go, what would God want from you? And every time I go to that, God always says, just let go. Just don't worry about it, keep going. And somehow that starts to soften my stubbornness. It works.
I have a serious problem shutting my brain off at night. I'm permanently fatigued because I can't sleep well.
Mm.
It's been along many years.
Many, many years.
Relatively will be work for me. I just find that my mind fires more when I'm in the bed and it's quiet. Always towards just meditation, and I try to pray it away, I try to deep breathe it away. And I think sometimes the more I try, the worse it gets.
Mm.
So, do you have any recommendations? That's something I talked to my psychiatrist and my therapist about, like, my brain doesn't shut off. How can I get my brain to shut off so I can rest?
Sure.
So I guess I need some inner peace somehow.
Yeah. Thank you for being so open about it. And I repeat the question because some are watching on YouTube. And the question is, how do I shut my mind off, especially at nights when I want to sleep? I can guarantee you, you take the Raj Yoga course, you're going to sleep. One. The second thing is, I would like to invite you to pay attention to the way you perceive the world around you as you're walking and moving around during the day. There's a comment online, yeah. So I want you to check if when you're walking and moving around, are you being a little bit judgmental, or are you trying to solve the world's problems, or are you trying to help everyone and forget yourself? You've got to check these things, and you have to start to just pull back a little bit at a time and say, I might not be the healer of the world, but I'm part of the healing. And just start to offer these thoughts to your soul, not your brain. Your brain is the container. The soul is sitting inside. So you want to focus on the soul, not the brain. So whatever you're going through at a soul level, the brain is feeling the static from that. So that's one thing. Promise me for 7 days, write a letter to yourself of everything that you've regretted, and write a letter to yourself about the things you want nobody to know about. And by doing so, you will empty a lot of the burden of stuff that you don't know what to do that's sitting in your spirit. The third thing I'd like to suggest is try to listen when you're in the car or you have some mental free time, maybe when you're cooking your food. some inspiring classes and lectures, not the news. Turn off that garbage. You know within 10 minutes what everyone's up to in the country, and you're good. So if you keep feeding yourself that negative information, it won't help someone like you who, by observing you, you're very sensitive to the energies of people. So if it's like you can't handle everyone's issues. So just now, pause. And I guarantee you sign up for the Raj Yoga course, by the third night you're sleeping, if not the first. Anne, isn't that true?
Oh.
Trust me, we're like a sedative. We're like a real good Valium, right? So I can trust you with that. Santosh, you had a point? Go ahead, yes, yeah.
It says from YouTube, it says, do you suggest, someone named Alia Collins, do you suggest that people who struggle with fear that stems from trauma write out that fear as a way of expressing their fear? If it feels like fear, that fear controls that inner voice, thus altering, I think it got cut off, behavior.
I think many of us are suffering with an element of some kind of trauma. And I don't think it's fair for us to try to compete whose trauma was the worst, who had the worst experience of trauma. You might not even think that when you hear some stories of traumatic experiences that you're like, oh, I never went through that. But I can assure you, there was an experience that you had in your life that was unpleasant. So anything unpleasant was traumatic. Underline that. So that means whatever has shook my spirit of peace is recorded in me. And we don't know when it will take, that healing to happen, to occur. So I do recommend to the person on YouTube to write the letter of the trauma that did take place, about what did transpire. But what I'd also like you to do is to, in that letter, to accept and validate that the trauma that you went through is what it was, and that it had to happen. And I'm now looking for the courage and the strength to move on. Because a lot of cases of trauma is that we blame other people for the trauma that we went through, or we sometimes will blame ourselves. And that doesn't help us with the change of our behavior, because it influences everything we do. We will go into every relationship with a traumatic influence, right? So my recommendation is to continue the writing, to share what you're holding inside. But it's so important that you accept that what you have been through, it was what it is, and that you will be able to manage it and overcome it. And the quicker you can do that, the quicker you can begin to observe your thought pattern changing. And when your thought pattern changes, the way you have dealt with your trauma will also change. You might not forget it ever, but the way you deal with it will happen. We were in Peace Village, our retreat center in New York last week, and we went for a little joyride on the mountains in Catskills. And we were having a conversation about relationships and people. And it wasn't a gossip. It was about our lives and how it was unfolding. And one of the sisters in the car was telling us about a program they did in Nepal. And they were planning to have about 200,000 people at the event. So they went door to door to give out flyers. In Nepal and in India, you can do that and nobody will shoot you when you come to their door in Nepal in the time. But she said there was one woman that just says, oh, I hate you people. All you spiritual people think you have the answers. And she said, for at least 20 minutes, the woman just vomited on her everything she thought that was really bad. You people walk around like you're all saints and you're nothing but this, you're nothing but that. And she just sat there. She said she and her friend just sat there, listened, because they didn't know what to say. And when she was finished, she goes, okay, well, if you plan to come to the event, here's the flyer. It was like she didn't know how to respond. You know why that was a good example? Because they're in their place of power, you see, and goodness. So they're like, we don't know what's wrong with her, but she just keeps throwing up all these negative things. So when she was given the flyer, it says, okay, if you still want to come, here's the flyer, and it will be very good program. And the woman just pauses for a moment and goes, you want some water, Pani? It's just like, so you can see that don't take anything personal that we do to each other, because we're all just a mess, a wicked mess. But we're trying. And the most comforting thing in life right now is to bump into a person who gets that. So when the person messes up and we're able to get that and go, I get it. Would you like a flyer? It's going to be a really good program. You know, that you're going to be okay. You know, it's like, I've been there. I've been where you're at. I get it. You see? So that's when your thought behind your thought will work. All right? All right, any other thoughts before we close off with the meditation? Yeah? All right. So I'd like you to take a deep breath, get your body back in shape. We're going to do Santosh, first 2 minutes of silence, absolute silence. And as you go more quiet, the outside noise, in a way, it'll start to drown out. You'll kind of feel like it's almost blanketing the outside noise. And then Santosh will play a very loving song. And the song is to return us back to that sincere, deeper place. And when we're done, I'll distribute some blessing cards, and each one of those cards are going to be yours. But what I definitely would like to ask you to do as well is to take down June 10th to come to our public event with a special guest from Turkey. If you'd like to do some deeper meditations, he'll be a great, great resource. So to just keep that date in the back of your mind, June 10th. So now that when you sit for meditation, you'll be like, oh, why did she say June 10th? Now I'm thinking of the date of June 10th. That's why I did it. So you can remember the 10th of June. Because I want you to come that day. All right, so let's take a deep breath. Inhale deeply, exhale. I'd like you to appreciate the hour that we've just spent together. Just be grateful. Be grateful for the person that shared the space with you to your left and to your right. Let them know that you wish them well. You respect the life that they're living and that they're doing their very best. Breathe in deeply. Exhale. Focus your attention behind your eyes, on the spirit, on the soul, until your natural nature of love and peace begin to emerge. Let's just hold this moment of silence. Allow the soul to just sink deeper into the purest part of your consciousness. It might be just one thought that matters the most to you. Something that you believe in about yourself. That by nature you're really good at the core. And you're worthy to be loved and to love.